What do you really want? What do you really want? Most people struggle to answer this question. So if you have a hard time rattling off your list of wants, I have another approach for you to try. And that is, well, I'll give you the example of David, 42-year-old man. He spent his whole life battling his weight. He's finally decided to do something about it. And our goal from our work together was to build an alter ego for David who would be a champion for his fittest, healthiest self. Okay? Now, there's a ton of nuance, and I had mentioned it last week, but I forgot to unpack it with everyone when I started talking about the power of third-person narrative. I'm going to kind of reveal something for all of you, and you're going to start seeing it more. But something that the absolute best athletes do, and you'll hear it in their press conferences, is they will often use they'll reference themselves in the third person. And most people in society hear that and they go, oh my God, look at that loser, referring to himself in the third person. Again, don't pay attention to the paradigms, the beliefs, and the values of people who are playing small. It's important to pay attention to the people who are truly winning and take those paradigms and adopt them. That's why 99% of the self-help books that are out there are crap, because most of those individuals that have written them have not actually been around people that are operating in the very, very top levels of parenting, business, entrepreneurship, could be the corporate levels, sports, any domain. And so there is this massive crop of people where they go, and it sounds right. It's like, oh yeah, third person. That's what a tool. That's, can you get a load of this guy? And yet there's so much power in it, because what I just said was David was building a champion for his fittest and healthiest self, because that is a self that lives inside. We want a fit and healthy self. How do I know that? Because people who aren't fit and healthy can beat themselves up, can rob themselves of confidence, can rob themselves of self-worth and self-esteem. So why are they robbing themselves of, how is that robbing them? Because they know that it's something that they want, or they know that it's something that they desire to have. So an alter ego could be built to help champion that self. Now all of a sudden there's this third person entity. That's what the alter ego ends up that's why the alter ego, it can be powerful, because it's a third person identity. It's not carrying with it all of the narrative that might be holding someone else back. All right. So when I asked David this question, he came up with a few responses like, I want to be thin, I want to be fit, I want to feel healthy. Instead of asking yourself what you want, flip it and ask yourself what you don't want. Because our brains are wired to answer that question far easier. All right. So when I asked David this question, basically the floodgates open, and he said, I don't want to shop in the plus size section of the store anymore. I don't want to have to ask for a seatbelt extender on the plane. I don't want to feel out of breath when I'm climbing up a flight of stairs. I don't want to feel like people are whispering about me whenever I get on the subway. I don't want to feel guilty every time I eat carbs. I don't want to duck every time I see a mirror. I don't want to feel embarrassed about my weight. I don't want my nieces and nephews to call me Fat Uncle David anymore. I don't want to be the person who always plays Santa Claus because I don't need any padding, and on and on and on. It was so easy for him to unpack all that stuff. So once you have that list, we're going to use the 5 bridges framework that we've used before to get clear on what you do want in the extraordinary world with the experience that you are bringing to it. So we'll start with the field of play. What would you like to start doing? What would you like to start responding with, behaving, choosing? Continue hearing, seeing, tasting, and smelling. And again, you don't have to answer all these things. These are just ideas for you. Continue experiencing, getting as a result, and achieving. Experience more of, get more of, or achieve more of. Start experiencing, achieving, and getting. Those are all things that we want to have, or be doing, or be thinking, or be feeling in that extraordinary world. Okay? We're using the 3 planes: physical, emotional, and mental. All right? What would you want to start thinking when you're out there? What would you want to start feeling when you're out there? Or feel more of when you're out there? Again, it's start, more, less, continue, and stop. Those are the 5 bridges. And we use that framework as a great way of unpacking this kind of extraordinary world reality. So in David's case, he might list down, start eating more clean, or start eating clean, start keeping a food journal, start planning meals, start choosing fruit instead of sugary snacks, continue drinking 4 liters of water a day, continue walking 4 miles, because those are all things that he was already doing, and so on. So to make it easier for you, these results would all be things you could hear, see, taste, touch, or smell. Okay? Or they'd be things that so that's on the results side of things. And the action layer contains your actions, reactions, behaviors, skills, and knowledge. It's all the capabilities that you're bringing to your field of play. So how are you showing up? How are you acting? How are you behaving? What choices are you making? If you pass all of those questions over the bridges of starting, continuing, and more of, you'll get even more clear about how the new you is going to show up. Now, what about your actions, behaviors, knowledge, and skills? So start saying, start thinking, start attempting. Do more of, choose more of, behave more like, choose more of, say more of, think more of, attempt more of. Again, continue doing, continue choosing, and on and on. What would your alter ego believe? So what are the things you're going to start believing, start expecting, start feeling, start valuing? And you notice that we're simply using this kind of 5 bridges framework on those layers of the identity, or the field of play model. Believe more of, expect more of, feel more of, value more of. One of them could be value the fact that that healthiest, fittest self is already there. It's just waiting to get unleashed. Just been buried under some poor attitudes or poor habits. Okay, continue believing, continue expecting, because not everything needs to get changed. Great, Molly. Now, what do you need to expect about yourself or the field of play you're standing on to make those changes happen? What do you need to value about yourself, the world, the people you interact with, your skills, your knowledge to feel more confident, decisive, etc.? Well, I'll share one thing with all of you around myself. My wife gets amazed by this. Friends can get amazed by this. But my ability, I think if there was a championship for talking to people in an elevator, I think I could win that championship, because I strike up conversations in the elevator every day. Now, because I live in New York City, we're constantly in elevators, so I get that opportunity every single day. But what is it about me that makes that happen? It's not that I'm got any special skills whatsoever. There's nothing there, because that's what people want to understand is, well, what do you do? It's not about the doing. It's about what I appreciate. What I appreciate and how I look at every single human being that's walking on a sidewalk, or that I would meet in society, is that no one ever would turn away a new friend. No one wakes up and says, no more new friends. No one ever does that. Now, some people might wake up and say, I'm busy with my life, but that still isn't going to mean that they're going to turn away a new friend that they all of a sudden connect with. Okay. So my approach to life is that, A, everyone's friendly. B, everyone loves to have a great conversation with someone. And so I strike up conversations with people. And it's always about it's something completely mundane, like, oh, I love your shoes. Those are great shoes. What's crazy is 9 times out of 10, it's the very first time that they're wearing them. And then they end up leaving the entire day and they're floating on cloud 9 because, they just got affirmation from the world around them that they're wearing nice shoes and they look great. So I think I've done my job of maybe coloring my world around me in a better way. So that is something that allows me, again, on these last few questions when I talked about what you need to expect about yourself or the field of play you're standing on. I expect that the field of play brings towards me awesome people, just what I expect. And so if that's not something that you're experiencing right now, then that would be something that your alter ego would expect, okay? Again, because we're answering this through two lenses. You can answer it through the lens of the alter ego, again, to sort of unshackle and sort of bring purity to the water, because now you've just taken off the filter of your own attitudes, and now you're filtering it through this alter ego. Or you can answer it as yourself, because you already know the answer to those things that you want, okay? So moving forward here. So what do you really want? And what happens is after you answer these questions, that's when you update the alter ego canvas in that area there. So the workbook has the questions. So imagine the behaviors and actions that you're taking in your extraordinary world. How are they different from the ordinary world? What are the traits that end up showing up in the extraordinary world? You know, is it that you're far more optimistic? You know, you're far more positive, you're far more supportive with other people. You're far more enthusiastic about, you know, what you've got going on and what other people have got going on. I shared this post a couple of months ago, because right before Stan Lee passed away, the famous man from the Marvel world who basically created and built that entire comic book empire, I had reached out to him with a copy of the book, and he ended up responding right away. We ended up having this great interaction, and I ended up booking him for a live event that's going to be happening later this year on September 30th, October 1st and 2nd in San Diego. And he was going to be my keynote speaker. And when he responded back to me, he responded back with 3 things that I find consistently are exhibited amongst people who are very successful. 1, he was very enthusiastic about my idea or my book. So they're always enthusiastic about your world. And he was, I think his direct quote was, you know, for 80 years, we've been inviting people into the extraordinary worlds of superheroes and their alter egos, and you've just given people the ability to now create their own. How can I get involved? However, you did use way too many DC comic references, and you should have used more Marvel comic references. So funny. And we went back and forth. And then the second thing was, he always responded quickly. There was no assistant that I was going through, nothing. A lot of people that I think operate in the B class and C class of life, you know, whether they're B-list celebrities or they're B-list entrepreneurs or they're B-list executives, they have to create this air of importance. They have to create this wall that they're somehow very important behind it. Here's what I can tell you in working with very high-level people. Very rarely do they have other people responding for them. They respond and they do it quickly. Third, there was no such thing as neutral. There was forward or stop. So there's always a yes or a no, always. And for him, it was yes, how can I get involved? He answered things really quickly. And the great thing about that is every single person on this call can on this training can 100% adopt that as well. We can all be enthusiastic. We can always respond quickly and use speed to our advantage. And we can always give people a yes or a no. So all of that, after we unpack the extraordinary world, goes into that part of the canvas. So just to check in with everybody, any questions, insights, takeaways from people? So let me just. Luciano, so when you're an aspiring coach and everyone but your closest friends want to be coached by you, why is this? Am I someone untrustworthy to my closest friends? No, they just have a completely different lens and context on you. I mean, I don't coach any of my friends, and I would never go to them to even be coached by them. I keep them very siloed, honestly. Hey, you know, a joke amongst my closest friends here in New York City is for the longest time, they had no idea what I even did. I was sort of an enigma to them. And I've very much operated that way. I like that mystery. I even have it with my own family. Like, I don't really talk to them about, you know, my business and all that, because, you know, they have a very different role that they're playing. You have a very different role that you're playing in their life, Luciana, right? We as human beings understand this. This is an important point. We as human beings, we like to put people into boxes because we like to organize things so that we can, you know, have a, you know, clean cut world. So that he's my funny friend. So I don't go to my funny friend for like deep, meaningful conversations. The reality is he might be fantastic at those, but that's just the way that you've labeled them. You've had a couple of experiences with that person and you label them. So in their minds, Luciana, sorry, I said Luciano, it's Luciana. You're playing a specific role in their mind. Don't worry about cracking that paradigm, right? Go to the people. That's why, you know, when you're building up a brand or you're building up a new service or a new product, you're the one who gets to decide and choose by the way that you message, by the way that you show up, the narrative and story that people will start to have in their own mind. Like for me, automatically, one of the first things that people come to me for is strategic thinking, strategy, and mental game approaches to remove the resistance. Why? Well, that's what I've done for a long time. So those are the words that I always bring up, but I don't bring those words up around my family. I just don't care to. So that's it. It's just that, you know, just understand that that's how people operate, and that's okay. I'm not here to put everyone on the psychology couch and tell them they have to believe certain things about me. That's a waste of time. Matthew says, that's an amazing reminder. Look to the people who are actually achieving doing, not those who are sitting on the sidelines. Good stuff, Molly. Okay. Megan Dahl, what my alter ego expects, not just wants. That's a huge light bulb. Absolutely. Because, you know, when you're just expecting, and now it's not, I don't place expectations on the other people necessarily, right? Because when you place the expectation on other people, now you're giving up your power. I expect to show up and win. That's a great expectation. That's helpful for me. Now, other people with that expectation, that might not help them, because for me, it sharpens my focus. And in the end, I know I'm going to win anyway, because I'm really good at pulling the meaning or out of mistakes or follies or losses as well. So because winning for me is just an ongoing campaign. It's never just a point in time. All right. It's just an attitude that I have. It's a mode of operation. So that's an expectation that's healthy. Expecting everyone to show up and shake my hand with a smile, that's not great. Okay. Because you don't control that. Okay. I hope that's an important distinction. Linda, can you elaborate on how to respond quickly when you time block or structure your time, maybe define quickly? When I say quickly, I mean within like a 24-hour window, right? And just so you know, not to go off track, but in the world of sales, statistically proven that when someone reaches out to your company or your business, and if you respond within 28 minutes, you've just 8x'd, so 8 times the possibility that they will do business with you. And if you shorten that even more and more and more, you're just multiplying that. Because while everyone likes to think that they go out and they sort of send out multiple different, they reach out to multiple different companies, a lot of people don't do it. They're so busy, right? So if they've even reached out to you, it means that the likelihood that they want to hire you is so high. And yet people, they go, oh, you know, can you respond back to that person? And, you know, instead of just hunt, get it, stab that right away. Bruce, ability to be decisive, make quick decisions with clear yes, no, or directives is a huge element of successful leaders. Right on, absolutely. Carrie says that we can just decide to be different, decide to be friendly in the elevator, and decide that everyone wants more friends. Change can be easy. Intention is huge. I believe it can be done. Okay. Welcome, Luciana. She says, my God, thanks a lot, Todd, for picking up my question, answering it. Very satisfying. It's a ton of reassurance. You're welcome. So one more question and we'll move forward here. Ipshita says, during the challenge, I had created an alter ego to help with my health and fitness. It has not helped. However, it helped me enormously when I gave my first talk. I was totally in my zone. Do I need to create another one for my health and fitness? Absolutely. Remember, they create in context, right? The one that you take out onto the, you know, and again, so having said that, just hearing myself say it, there aren't really rules to this. You could be still using Wonder Woman as you go out there as you use Wonder Woman in the gym. You know, it can be the same one. Its purpose is to go out there and help you win. But I just want to be careful that, you know, just to remember that we live in the context of many selves. We have multiple different selves that go out there. That's why the idea of an authentic self is such a dangerous paradigm for people, because of the way it's termed and the paradigm that it creates. If you know, that's why it's really important that you gather training or you gather wisdom, really wisdom, from people that have actually done it. That's why I laugh at the people that go and they follow all of these people on Instagram, and they like, I see all these quotes that get, you know, on Instagram, and I sort of laugh at, wow, like Instagram, if there was a vehicle to create a lot of trapped human beings, then Instagram would be the way to go and do it, or Facebook would be the way to go and do it, because you've got a bunch of people who need to just create content so they can stay interactive with their communities, and they share ideas that they have had no experience with whatsoever, or they share quotes that are taken out of context and people go, yeah, absolutely, I like that. Or, you know, yeah, people who hustle a lot, they're just doing it wrong, and you need to work smart and not hard. It's like, oh my God, the people who fall prey to that stuff will never be successful. Just, you know, and again, success and whatever your definition is, but the real value in life is through suffering. 100%. Strength is forged in the fires of suffering. Now, the distinction between that word suffering means the suffering that you choose. That's really important. I choose to go out into the gym and put myself through some hell, because strength comes out the other side. That's me forging myself in the fires of suffering. And so I have a very, very positive relationship with the term suffering. Other people hear it and they go, oh my God, why would you want to suffer with life? Right? Life can be this beautiful flower. And, you know, sure, you can, but I want to know, how is that working for you? Okay. Suffering that you choose, like this, you know, you could, quote unquote, choose the suffering, you know, if it's something that you haven't dealt with in the past, of going out and actually meeting people in public. That for some people would be suffering underneath their current identity, but an alter ego goes out there and goes after it. And for them, it's the most extraordinary world. It's the thing that they love to do because they're just friendly. They have a paradigm that everyone is just amazing. Okay. So never forget that.